Welcome to Truth Quest. If you are striving to balance earthly challenges with a heavenly perspective in areas like business, family, relationships, money, and personal growth, you have found your community. Welcome back to Truth Quest, where we are trying to dig into the hard questions, even if we don't like the answers. Jamie and I have been receiving a variety of different communications, either emails or texts, and some have been in person. People asking us, how do we find balance, and how does God want us to balance our life? Mm-hmm. First of all, balance does not exist. That is a little fantasy world that I don't know who made that up, but it doesn't exist. When I'm teaching on time blocking and those type of things, and we talk about balance, one of the things I will tell them is it's like a pendulum. So it's swinging back and forth. And the goal is you don't want it to swing too far, because sometimes it'll be like, everything is out of whack and I've got to be home and handle things here. And then, everything is on fire at work and I have to be over here. So it swings really large. The goal is just to have it swing slower and less. Yeah. Exactly. So you'll never be balanced until you die. So you might not want to just want to jump into that.
Maybe not. Okay.
Maybe
so
not.
If balance does not exist, where do we even start with that?
Part of finding balance is actually in reducing the stress, right? Because when you're stressed, that's when it swings harder and stronger. And you reduce the stress with the right structure and the right habits. So I think that, we've got a couple points here. The first is you need to live in His strength, not yours. That's when I am finding myself most stressed out, is when I can do it, right? And but He says in John 15:5 that I am the vine, you are the branches. So those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. So apart from me, you can do nothing, right? I want to have good fruit, first of all, but I can't. I'm just a branch, right? You break me off and I'm not connected to the vine, then I don't have that support. I need His support. I need His strength. And that's where I'm being fed, is through that vine. So that's the first thing. And the fact that you don't even have fruit, that just bothers me. I'm like, I want fruit. So I want to be connected. So the first thing is to live in His strength and to cling to Him. The other thing is that we tend to try to do everything ourselves.
I know I do.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I think especially, strong personalities. We have strong personalities. You can ask our husbands; they will tell you. Strong isn't always good, but it's strong. But we have this mentality of, if it's to be, it's up to me. And I'm going to forge ahead and I'm going to get this stuff done. And that's not what we're called to do. Matthew 11:28 and 29, Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls." I'm not supposed to carry it myself. I'm supposed to put on a yoke with Jesus. And then I'm not going to be so weary.
Yeah.
And that rest is like my favorite 4-letter word right now. Right?
I was going to say, I know when my life feels very out of control and I am having a hard time grasping balance, rest sounds better than just about anything else.
Yes.
Just let me have a break.
Sometimes rest is the most productive thing you can do.
Sometimes.
And I know that, like, when we were talking about this subject, you'd come up with some scriptures too that led into this rest thought.
Oh yeah, of what comes to my mind, of what recenters when I'm feeling just a little all over the place. Psalm 23, 1 through 4. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pasture. He leads me beside still water, and he restores my soul.
Restores.
Yeah.
Seasons of restoration are the best.
Yeah. And I forget who it was that I was listening to or who said it, but the line, he makes me lie down in green pasture, it is a blessing and an opportunity that you get to lie down in green pasture.
Oh, yeah.
It's not necessarily a command, and I'd never really thought of it like that, and loved it even more.
Yeah, no sheep wants to lay down in a rocky desert.
No. There's a really nice lawn, and that's what I get. Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
Right? Right. Well, and the other thing about carrying everything ourselves, and it's also letting Jesus pull us out of something that we got into sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
Psalm 42 says, he drew me up from the pit of destruction, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. So we feel the stress when it's like, I will frequently say, I feel like everything's going out from underneath me.
Yeah.
I'm not on solid ground.
It definitely feels like that.
And when I feel like that, I'm out of balance, and it's because I'm stressed, and it's usually because I'm trying to do it by myself. And when I just submit and say, okay, God, I need you, just take control here and show me where am I supposed to be stepping. But, first we're looking at, you share the burden. And in sharing the burden, sharing this yoke, that starts with prayer, right? You can't just say, okay, well, I'll let God do it. No, talk
and
to
then
him.
just carry on
right?
with your day.
Yeah. You have to actually come to God and say, okay, here it is. Show me how to give this up. Or
Yeah.
take it from
Put something
me.
down.
Yeah,
That's
but
hard.
it starts with a conversation with God. That's your prayer. And then he talks about, what was that one before? And let me teach you because I am humble and gentle at heart, right? How does he teach you? Well, he teaches you because you read the word. Mm-hmm. So you have to open up the word.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm going to just touch it and I'll know.
He led by example. If you want to know what the example was, you're going to have to read it.
Well, it's literally the manual, right? Yeah. And, okay, well, my husband might be guilty of not opening the manual sometimes, and I might make fun of him. But do I not do the same thing? It's like,
Oh, guilty.
right?
Guilty.
I'm like, why am I not opening up the manual? I'm like so stressed out. I don't know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. Well, did you read the manual?
Yeah.
So, life lessons on electronics also apply to our souls.
Yeah.
But so many times there's been time in my life where I'd say, well, I don't have time. I'm so busy trying to fix this that I don't have time. When in all actuality, I couldn't afford to not take the time.
Yeah.
So I had
That's
to
really true.
have a reset there. And then it's on to that be still, right? Let's go lay down in green pastures. You actually have to take the time to do that. Mm-hmm. That's another one that I struggle with. And I try to take time to be still before, during, and after I'm in the Word. I've figured out that I will absorb it better, understand it more, if I spend a little bit of quiet time, get into His Word, maybe pause in the Word, and ask Him to show me what it is that He's trying to show me, and then have like a recap quiet time at the end
That's a
with
really
Him.
good idea. I like
And
that.
it has been so good to teach me how to hear His shepherd voice when I do it in this fashion. So that's helped a lot in keeping me on solid ground, standing on this solid ground instead of this miry pit.
Yeah.
But in order to come out of the pit, the other thing is you have to actually raise your hand so you can be pulled out.
Yeah.
And I think that too often I have been like, come get me, instead of, will you take me out?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different posture.
It is a very different posture.
Yeah. So I think
That's
that
a tough one.
The main thing in getting this balance is just giving it up to God. So, in a nutshell,
Yeah.
that's what I would go with.
I would also throw in there
Uh-huh.
what you focus on expands. I mean, this is going to be true throughout for all of what we're talking about today.
Oh yeah.
But what you focus on expands. If you are focused on how little time you have, that's all you're going to see. If you,
Yes.
and, you know, on the other side, if you are focused on how grateful you are for X, Y, Z, that's what you're going to think about a lot more, and it's just
Right.
going to be a nicer place to be.
You know, I had my litmus test to check myself on what am I focusing on is two things. I will look at my calendar, and then I'll look at my checkbook. Those two
good.
things will tell me what are my priorities. And those priorities are what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
And so I try to make sure that they are in alignment with what God has called me to be focused on. Because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to step into it.
It is. And I rarely consider the two. I mean, yes, they are linked, your calendar and your finances, but when it comes to that, it is such a spotlight on what you
It
got
is.
going on. There really isn't much
It's
room
humbling.
to hide. Yeah,
humbling
yeah, when you hold
sometimes.
them next to each other.
Like, how much did I spend on restaurants and how much did I tithe?
Ooh,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Just a thought. Just a thought.
Somebody's going to have to go do some math a little later and see where they're at.
Sorry, Tyler.
Take some deep breaths.
But our earthly needs are going to fall into place when our focus is on the heavenly perspective. That's what I believe. So Colossians 3, 1 and 2, it says, "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth." And that's so, I love what it says, and I know it's so hard to keep a heavenly perspective when your feet are standing on the earth.
Yep.
So,
Living in this earthly body.
yes. But on the calendar, too, I came across Ephesians 5:15, and it says, "So be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days." Make the most of every opportunity.
Every
Right?
opportunity.
Don't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do. That means you're thinking about every activity that's on your calendar.
Yeah, it does.
And is it in alignment with what the Lord has called you to do? Right? What does He want you to do? And you can't go to church on Sunday and then live the rest of your life on an earthly trajectory and think that you're doing what the Lord wants you to do. I did that for years, thinking that was okay, but it's not. It's not. You can't be a pew holder.
Yeah.
So, bottom line, I guess the first section of finding the secret to balance is that it's all mindset, it's heart set, and it's choosing to create the structure and the environment and the habits that lean into God, not into your own desires. So we're gonna continue with some additional steps for finding balance and keep that pendulum from swinging too far out. But until then, because I'm sure that we've probably gone over, thank you for joining us for this section of Truth Quest. And we look forward to seeing you for the next. In the meantime, keep trying to sprinkle a little grace in your day, even if a little is all you've got. As we conclude this episode of Truth Quest, we invite you to be a part of the conversation. Send in your questions, thoughts, and reflections. Don't forget, like, follow, and subscribe to stay updated on our journey together. Until next time, may you continue to seek truth with courage and remember to sprinkle a little grace, even if that's all you've got.